Well met.
And welcome to our interview series where we sit down with real players of popular D&D classes to provide you with insight into the character building and development process. I'm Dr. DM.
And I'm the Mind Flayer Slayer. And this week we will be interviewing a
bard.
That's me!
Also my little sister. You ready to rock?
Let's go!
The bard!
Before we get into today's episode, a brief note from our sponsors.
So, I have been very fortunate in our D&D adventures to play a bard, and you might say that I've had a bard experience in my real life as well. So, I'm actually an actor in real life, and I've been recently in a production of She Kills Monsters: Virtual Realms that is written by Queen Nguyen, directed by Matt Neal, and produced by the Virtual Theater. This show, apart from being a fabulously nerdy D&D play, has been giving back to a lot of wonderful nonprofits in our community, so Dayton, Ohio, and the greater Cincinnati, Ohio area as well. Some of those sponsors and nonprofits include the Cincinnati Roller Girls, which is a group which is Cincinnati's first amateur flat track roller derby team, founded in 2005. Chad McCoy with MetLife, and he's an insurance agent in the Dayton area as well. Also sponsored by Ruby Girls, which is a Dayton-based nonprofit whose mission is to see the end of HIV and AIDS and fighting against discrimination. And our final group is actually going to be receiving part of the profits from this performance of this virtual adventure. And that group's called Girls Rock Cincinnati, and they're a fabulous music and creative arts summer camp for girls and gender variant youth in the greater Cincinnati area, aged 12 to 18. So think like Disney's Camp Rock, kind of, but you get to become a part of a rock and roll group in the summertime, and it's a wonderful organization. Now, the images you'll be seeing in our thumbnail, for example, is a graphic designed by Bullfish Graphics, as well as the logo. And it's a really fabulous production, She Kills Monsters: Virtual Realms, that will be streaming starting this coming Friday, August 7th, through next Sunday, August 17th. So you can check out in the comments section, we have a link so you can buy your virtual ticket, and you can join me as Agnes the Ass-Hatted as she fights her way through this virtual experience and adventure, killing some monsters, meeting some fabulous friends along the way, and fighting for her family and for inclusion and identity. So if you can check out She Kills Monsters, we'd really love to see you virtually there.
She Kills Monsters.
Yes.
It's gonna be a nat 20.
Now, without further ado, let's dig into today's episode. Whether scholar, skald, or scoundrel, a bard weaves magic through words and music to inspire allies, demoralize foes, manipulate minds, create illusions, and even heal wounds.
The bard is a master of song, speech, and the magic they contain. Mm-hmm. So we have here our very own bard.
Thank you. Say autographs later, please.
Okay, don't worry. We'll get one at least for the future. And let's talk a little about your bard. So let's give us a brief character bio. So your name, subclass, background, race, and alignment.
Okay, great. I'm playing Des, and she's a bard, like what we said. Now, she's specifically in the College of Glamour, in the bard class. Her background is pirate. Yar. She does not illegally download CDs or video games. Her race is a changeling, and her alignment is true neutral.
Awesome.
Excellent.
And I think Des, it's not your full name, right?
It is not her full name. So she goes by Des. Her full name is Desirina, but she was named Des because of the river Desarin that cuts through Faerun and eventually leads out into the Coast of Swords.
Mm-hmm.
So because of her pirate background, she was found by a group of mercenary pirates when she was a small child, as she played her little flute along the water's edge by herself.
We love that flute. I'm sure if you tuned in, you love it
She
just
plays
as much.
her, can you not be rude to my recorder? So she was playing her little flute along the water's edge. A group of pirates took her in under their wing, and because she did not have a name, they named her after the river that they found her on. So also changelings as part of her racial background, changelings typically have one-syllable names that are not specifically linked to any gender. So regardless of what shape she takes, Des could work as a name for regardless of whatever race she transforms herself into. So typically, because changelings don't have much of a cultural background, their names aren't derived from anything specifically. So
Right.
Yeah.
Why did you choose changeling when you were building this character? What attracted you to the race?
I actually was not gonna pick changeling. I wanted to play. I have this really annoying voice that I wanted to do because I had done it in a production of Stuart Little a while ago. And I really loved the voice. And so I was like, oh my god, I can do this voice as a gnome and it would be really cute. And then David, I don't know if we're not using our real names, Dr. DM, he was like, no. You need to play a changeling because then you could do so many voices and so many characters. And changelings naturally have a high charisma,
That's right.
which goes really well with playing a bard because they're a charisma-based class. So that's kind of why
Good
And
advice.
at least-
it led me that way.
And as an actor, I think I made it, I sold it as well as this. I said, you can play any kind of, you can put on any production you want by yourself. You can be all the characters. Like
A one-woman show.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like in Greek tragedy, it was one or two actors that would just change masks. And that's what she does in Descent into Avernus. So I think Changing was a fantastic mix with Bard, or I should say fusion with Bard there.
Yeah.
So let's see. And you mentioned also College of Glamour, which is subclass.
Yeah.
Which I think it was a couple iterations. It wasn't College of Glamour at first, right?
Yeah, it was not.
Right, you wanted to do sword play, but that was more difficult.
Yeah, so I had picked originally the College of Swords because I had this idea for her to be a real swashbuckling pirate, but based on kind of the way the numbers broke down and so much of your points and your stats go behind charisma, that the first couple times we played Descent into Avernus, I was like, I have my sword, I'm gonna be at the front, and I just died and did very poorly. And I was like, okay, this is great if you were playing maybe a beefier race, and the changeling just doesn't have that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I can still be a pirate, I just keep my swords for show and not for actual combat. So we ended up transitioning that. I changed into College of Glamour because Des is really pretty. No, but actually,
She's pretty in many different forms, even.
but basically, with the College of Glamour it's a really awesome college. So
Fabulous, truly.
you get
Glamorous.
glamorous, as Fergie would say. So you get.
Just kidding.
Oh my god.
For
So
Galicious?
you get, yes, for
Okay,
Galicious.
I
So you get
did a thing. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So you get something like College of Glamour gives you Mantle of Inspiration is one of your things that you get as part of this college. Mantle of Inspiration is amazing. So basically what it means is that you can expel your Bardic Inspiration dice to use this Mantle of Inspiration. So what happens in roleplay is that I will do Mantle of Inspiration. I become wondrous and beautiful and glorious to inspire my friends to kick more ass.
Look at me, I'm pretty.
Because look at me, I'm pretty, or whatever.
That's kind of what it boils down to.
Yeah, what it boils down to.
You take on a form that's just
Wondrous and,
Yeah,
and
exceptional.
magical. So when that happens, I select certain friends to be inspired by my appearance. And that is actually tied to, my charisma modifier, which right now is at +4. So I pick 4 friends, and they get to be on my dodgeball team. And these friends get to use their entire movement speed on my turn. So, example, I pick your character,
Anatoly.
Anatoly, and I say, hey, look how pretty I am. And he's like, oh my god,
You're so pretty!
so pretty! And he gets to move 30 feet.
That's right. Away from her because she's so beautiful. He just can't handle the beauty.
Oh god. And then also, when they move, they don't provoke attack of opportunity. So Anatoly can move 30 feet, and it's as if no one noticed. None of the bad monsters notice him moving. So right now, as they're moving as well, the last benefit of using Mantle of Inspiration, you also get +5 temporary hit points.
Which don't stack.
Which
so
do
don't
not
let those stack.
That's right.
Which don't stack. So what happens, Anatoly runs away from my beauty 30 feet, and I also give him +5 temporary hit points.
Yes.
So it's a fabulous way to use the core of being a bard, which is a support class, to help your friends get in that position. So when Anatoly, as a tank, for example, he's a big, beefy kind of character, he can be in the spot ready to attack on his turn with whatever he needs. So he's not wasting his time getting there, potentially getting hit by something. He can just be there on his turn ready to attack.
Which came in extra handy in the last episode of...
Episode 7.
Yes, Descent into Avernus, when we had a massive battle map and we had to cover...
Yeah.
I think I got to cover 90 feet because of a racial trait at one point, which made me capable of attacking the big bad. So.
That's right. So Mantle Inspiration is incredible support ability. They can make your allies position when it's not even their turn, give them temporary hit points, and overall manipulate the battlefield at her discretion.
Yeah.
Because as a bard, she's a support character. In this case, she's almost like a commander in the back line. So, and as not only in combat does she do that, but also in role playing, I think she's a bit of a face to the party too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've been able to mix, as we've talked about subclasses. I ended up taking a feat at level 4 instead of getting more to my stats. So along with giving my party members the advantage of moving 30 feet, I ended up taking the alert feat, which gave me an extra bonus to my initiative. So right now, it was a +5, I believe. So I have right now a +9 initiative, which, knock on wood, unless I roll really crappy, I will usually go first. So if I get to go first, basically me and 4 other people get to move the second the battle starts. So that it's thinking strategically of how can I, using my class, help the most people, especially as a bard. And I've taken I've really enjoyed that because I think a lot of bards get a lot of memes to them, and I think it's been a really fun way to be able to support people along with irritating my party members as well with my recording play.
That's a good segue into our next question, which is how do you define your role in the adventuring party? So we've talked about being kind of the face of the party. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that? Specifically with the group, the sideshow slashers,
Right.
Yeah.
Which face truly is a changeling. We started off in our kind of episode 0 when we all got together and decided we wanted to play virtually Descent into Avernus. I kind of had the idea, along with Dr. DM's help, of making my character a changeling. How can we connect all of our characters? What's our backstory? How did we get where we're going? Why are these people together? So I had come up with this thought of having us be a traveling troupe of theater makers, of performers, of kind of maybe seedy characters a little bit, trying to earn a little bit of gold along the way. So we came up with the Sideshow Slashers, which is a group of performers that have been around the Baldur's Gate area. And as we've continued on, we've had different characters approach us and add to our group of traveling entertainers. So as the changeling and as my character is Des, as the bard with a naturally very high charisma based on race and class.
Which affects skill proficiencies that are important to be the face of the party, such as intimidation,
persuasion. So it helped us, as we first started out, to kind of make our mark in Baldur's Gate when we first began this adventure, to put on a show. So we had a couple performances in the greater area because there were a lot of displaced refugees in the area based on what was going in Elturel. So we had people to perform to. And because we're a group of people who lean towards neutral, chaotic, somewhere in there, it was nice to get some money to maybe change a couple faces, pick a couple pockets, see what was going on in the area, and it provides a really fun role-playing experience. So as the bard, I've been playing the idea of a ringmaster, and that has evolved, obviously, as we've kept playing and now entered into Avernus. So the idea of a bard, you can play it several ways, obviously, depending on the group that you're playing with, but I have played it in a sense of I can be the face of the party as a ringleader, or the circus ringmaster, if you would. But you can also play just as a support. You can play for laughs. We can play bard for maybe into some seedier, gonna hit up the local tavern, meet some pretty elves and elven maidens along the way. You know, you can play it any way you want, but that's kind of how I've been able to like beef up the persuasion, intimidation, and that kind of way using the bard skills. And with enthralling performance, that goes back to the College of Glamour as well. Enthralling performance also, you can pick a couple targets. They must succeed on a wisdom saving throw. And with enthralling performance, basically, I charm them into thinking whatever performance I do is fabulous, and they must speak really glowingly of me. So we've had a couple dance contests. We've had a couple song contests, and
The devil went down to Georgia in the last episode.
That's right. Episode 7.
I think I won a Vernus idol. So,
Truly.
Using her changeling change into a creature that was important for that particular event, and you used all your persuasion and charisma abilities, and you absolutely got a golden schwam, or a lyre, one of the bardic instruments of legend. So that's fantastic. Good moves there.
Yes.
Good. So I think that Bard really you really heavily go into all the aspects, whether it's combat or roleplay, that make Bard that are the strengths of Bard, and you also prop up the weaknesses of Bard. Right? Like like weaknesses in combat, you prop those up with being able to help people around the battlefield, and I think you might also be considering multi-classing, right?
Yes.
Or have already.
We considered it, and I've also decided to multi-class. So I actually didn't know. I'm very new to D&D, so I did not know that. They're there. I did not know that multi-classing was a thing. I had no idea, because I thought everyone was pulling my leg about it. And I just had no idea it existed. I didn't know that you could do more than one thing in the fantasy world of Faerun. So I decided to multi-class because I was seeing all of the damage, quite truly, the damage that Anatoly, Kyle's character, does as a warlock. Yes. And with cantrips such as Eldritch Blast, first level such as Hex, and I was like, these are really cool. I was like, I missed, to be quite transparent, in our other campaign, I was playing a cleric who's very, very strong, a cleric Aasimar, and I missed having tougher spells. I did, I'll be quite honest about it. And I was having a little bit of difficulty as a player. And that's why things, change and transform. You don't have to set your character in stone till level 5. And I was like, I really want to feel like I'm contributing to the party in a damage kind of way, a little more actively. And was missing all of the spells and the power that came from the previous character that I was playing.
It was a Tempest cleric, right?
It was a Tempest cleric.
That's right, who could use Destructive Wrath and have a lot of dice. And I understand you want to contribute in combat. And Bard has always had, ever since many previous editions, and third and fourth, and sometimes, I don't think it even appeared at first in some of the editions, and sometimes it was Prestige class, but it was always kind of like Mimi. The damage wasn't always there. It was really heavily focused on support. And here in 5th edition, while it is more balanced, I would say, even with some implementations of College of Swords, other sort of colleges that give it a little more strength and even some spell casting, it still was a little bit lacking compared to very robust combat characters. And so I think wanting a little bit of that is okay.
Like, because of the situation happening right now, we've been playing virtually on Zoom. And so I was feeling a little disconnected from the group because we've been playing through Zoom, we've been playing virtually, feeling a little bit like everybody else is up front, everybody else is doing all this amazing battle things. We're already virtually, I'm already playing by myself. And also feeling like I'm also doing support, which is vital and important because we don't want anyone to die on the battlefield without that healing power. But I was just feeling a little bit as a player disconnected from the group because of that. So I ended up keeping the things that I loved about Bard. So the prowess and musical instruments, being able to do these fabulous shows, and the role-playing aspects. And you can do singing, poetry, dance, music, whatever you want with a Bard. It's very open-ended. But now I've taken 3 levels of Bard and 2 levels of Warlock. And I've been feeling fulfilled for the I want to blow stuff up.
Eldritch Blast.
She stole my class, is what happened.
She's now Des
What's yours is mine,
now
baby.
a Bard
Yes.
lock.
Yes, I'm a Bard lock or a ward.
Ward. Anyway.
And choosing Warlock is an excellent class to multi-class into because it's also a charisma-based spellcaster. So you have that going for you right away, but also unlike a sorcerer that has some type of magical identity based on lineage or ancestry, or unlike a wizard that is really committed to study and spells and intelligence and wisdom, you have this being that just impacts you in some way. You could touch a sword like I did, or be transferred to another plane and briefly be grazed by the hand of an overgod. So it makes sense to
roleplay story-wise.
Yeah, for a warlock to be something that you take later in the campaign. And also, as those who are 5e players know, a lot of the classes are front-loaded. You get a lot of your best abilities from classes in the first 3 to 5 levels. It doesn't mean that there aren't incredible spells and abilities that you reach at higher levels, but multi-classing in this case, I think, is going to give you a really interesting opportunity to take maybe 6 levels of Warlock, 3 levels of Bard, and then go from there. But you're going to have a really well-rounded character and really get some incredible benefits from that.
And be powerful in the battlefield and outside of the battlefield as well. It's a very balanced character, I would say.
That's what I was hoping for. And I think we had a lot of fun with the celestial creature, or overgod, I should say, Excelsia, who bestowed the warlock powers onto me. We were in the star plane, and I was like, as a bard, because Des is a little full of herself, as a lot of bards can be. Most bards are, in a fabulous kind of way. And she was like, I'm a star, and so that's how I made it work.
It all worked out, and now her Eldritch Blasts are musical notes.
Yes.
They come out, I would say, which is really cool.
And Eldritch Blast stacks with overall level. So she gets the benefit of, at 5th level, doing 2d10 plus her charisma modifier because of certain invocations that she took.
Agonizing Blast and so forth.
Yes. Without having to be a level 5 warlock. And that's absolutely insane.
It is the power of cantrips. So Desirina is a powerful, powerful bard who plays an instrument like no other and leads her team to victory in the battlefield, as we saw with that big war last night. And also, in a social setting, you couldn't have a better player or character.
Thank you, that's very sweet. Yay!
Good, so we have, I think, just a couple more things to go through. Let's talk about your bard stats, maybe?
Bard stats, yeah, totally.
All right, so what did you put your points into?
Bards, listen, you have to put your points into charisma, because if you're, one thing is we have a little bit of a running joke with Des that because I'm playing the recorder that maybe you might have played when you were in elementary school, it's a terrible instrument. So, but as the rest of the world, because her charisma is so high and such a powerful bard, everyone's stunned by it and moved by it, right? You need to put your points into charisma. Points into dexterity is going to help as well. So that's where the majority of my points are going into. Strength doesn't have a ton. A lot of that's also race-based as well. Changelings are kind of, in terms of body shape, frailer characters, and they're a little willowy because they transform into whatever, in terms of, and they're also medium-sized. So the majority of my points went into dex and charisma. My next highest would be constitution.
For a little more survivability, I would say.
Yeah, because I, don't want to just like
of course, and
get left behind.
And dex, of course, is needed for, well, your armor class, and also because even if you were to use weapons as bard, you would only need dexterity-based weapons, finesse-based weapons.
Right. So the weapons that I have a +1 longsword, +1 shield as well. So, but you can do rapier and dagger as well if you're doing College of Swords. And
also with those 2 levels of warlock, you took booming blade, so that makes the +1 longsword. When she does get into that melee combat, on the rare occasion, you have that extra little bit of damage that you can stack with that cantrip, which is pretty awesome.
When she's not being the battlefield commander, you can go over here, you can go over here, and then the whole party.
Eldritch Blast.
The whole party survives, and actually, because of Lance of Inspiration giving 5 temporary hit points to everybody she invokes his power onto, our wizard, our wizard Judgment, almost got
He almost
Totally
bit
wiped.
the dust.
He almost bit the dust. If it hadn't been for hit points, maybe not exactly for hit points, but who knows if you got hit by anything else. He almost got the double your total maximum hit points to be instantly killed. So
And that
Yeah,
would have
he
meant I would have died too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and
Ooh.
totally
Sorry.
the warlock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So,
So
let's
you'll
talk
see the
about
highest of like performance,
Skills,
persuasion. Yes, that's where you'll see the charisma-based skills.
That's right, and those all carry forward. Very good. Let's see. You talked about your feats already, weapons and armor, how you perform in and out of the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
So the final thing we want to ask you, are you ready? Is describe your class in not one, not two, but 3 words.
Oh no, I remember.
You're not allowed to think about it.
Okay, 3 words. My class in 3 words.
Uh-huh.
Oh gosh. Musically inclined. Meme queen. That's 4 words.
With a
Together,
dash.
meme-
We'll allow it.
meme
Will we
queen.
allow it?
Meme
We'll
queen.
allow it. This has been this week's episode of our interview series.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope you tune in next time. Subscribe, smash that like button, ring that notification
Yay!
bell.
And check out She Kills Monsters Virtual Realms starting this coming Friday, August 7th through August 16th.
Please do all those things. Thank you very much for watching.
We'll catch you next time.
And that too. Everybody ready to rock out?
3, 2, 1.